We are now live, and it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call Ferrisburgh City Council meeting to order tonight, Monday, May 3, 2021. Under the direction of Ottawa County Declaration of Local State of Emergency, City of Ferrysburgh Council will conduct its meeting via Zoom to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Members of the public are welcome and encouraged to participate in this meeting. Members of the public are not required to register, otherwise provide information to attend. Please utilize the mute function on your phone while on the conference call. When appropriate, Mayor Hoff will run the virtual meeting like a regular meeting. There will be opportunities at the beginning and end of the meeting for public comments. To ensure full transparency during tonight's virtual council meeting, please state your physical location during roll call. Roll call, please.
Mayor Hopp.
Here. City of Ferrisburgh, Ottawa County, Michigan.
Councilmember DeWitt.
City of Ferrisburgh. Ottawa County.
Councilmember O'Donnell.
Here, City of Ferrisburgh, Ottawa County, Michigan.
Councilmember Carlson.
Here, City of Ferrisburgh, Ottawa County, Michigan.
Councilmember Blees.
Here, City of Ferrisburgh, Ottawa County, Michigan.
Councilmember Montgomery.
Here, City of Ferrisburgh, Ottawa County, Michigan.
Councilmember Sias.
Here, City of Ferrisburgh, Ottawa County, Michigan.
Thank you. During this time, for a moment of silence, remembering all of those affected by financial hardships, job losses, and other personal challenges during this time, and also to remembering all the men and women in uniform who protect us on a daily basis. And thank you. And at this time, please join me by standing and saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And this time on the agenda is for public comments. Is for any citizen to direct brief comments or questions to City Council. Time for public comments will be given when an agenda item is discussed. If you have a comment or question, please raise your hand to be recognized by the mayor. After being recognized by the mayor, please give your name and address for the record. Proceed with your comment or questions. Please limit your comments for 3 minutes. I see we have a couple of attendees and I see no hands raised at this time. So we'll move on to agenda item 6. Consideration approval of consent agenda. A, approve April 19, 2021 City Council meeting minutes as printed.
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion and support.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sias.
Yay.
Councilmember Carlson.
Yay.
Councilmember Blees.
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Donnell.
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Yes.
Mayor Hopp.
Yes,
Motion passed.
thank you. Moving down to 7, new business. A, presentation by Lauren Hoover from Nixle. And I see that Mr. Bessinger has moved her over onto our presentation screen. So welcome to our meeting tonight.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I will turn this over to you at this time.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to begin by sharing my screen. So hopefully everyone, all the panelists and the public can see that. Give me 1 second. All right. So I'm going to run through a brief demonstration of the platform. And if you guys have any questions along the way, please feel free to interject and ask. This can be as formal as informal as you want it to be. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Rebecca. Okay, so This is demo organization. So this is going to be, I don't have any zip codes configured. I'm not tied to a city like you're going to be. So imagine it as yours. So this is going to say City of Ferrisburgh up here in the left-hand corner. This is going to be your logo. This is going to say Ferrisburgh, Michigan, or however you want to brand yourselves. So yes, a lot of cities and towns are familiar with Nixle, the word Nixle, sending out a Nixle as opposed to sending out an alert. So they might be familiar with the brand, but we want them to familiarize themselves with you guys as well. These messages are coming from Ferrisburgh, whether it be Ferrisburgh PD, whether it be Ferrisburgh Fire, whether it be the mayor's office. You guys can choose how you want to brand yourselves in each message. So I wanted to start there. Another thing I want to mention about the platform, this is all SaaS based, software as a service. So cloud-based, browser-based. There's nothing that you have to import. There's nothing that you have to download. There's no hardware you have to install. So for all of you kind of IT-minded folks in the room, this is a super easy, completely encrypted platform. There's nothing that you're going to have to set up. So I'm going to go ahead and run through how to create a group. Craig had mentioned that that was one area of interest, and that's kind of a good place to start, I think. How do you get people into the system, whether they be employees of Ferrisburgh, so internal communication, or whether they be residents, so external or public communication. So let's go ahead and go over to the groups tab. It's really easy. You just log right in. Each of you will have your own unique username and password. So you can have as many administrators on as you want. So if the mayor is obviously gonna have access, maybe the police chief, fire chief, Department of Public Works, you can have as many folks accessing the system as you want, and they'll all have their own username and password. There is an app as well, and I'll show you guys some screenshots of the app, but this is the browser-based system that we're gonna run through first. So in terms of your public groups, let's start there. So resident communication. The Nixle Wire is going to be your main public safety group. So that's going to be the group where anyone who pulls out their phone and texts their Ferrisburgh zip code to 888-777 is going to be immediately opted into this group called the Nixle Wire. Everyone has this. So every city that's ever signed up with us has their own Nixle Wire. If you have several zip codes, then all of those zip codes are going to be tied to Ferrisburgh. I believe there's just one main zip code, but in terms of other public groups, so all these other groups that you see, those are a little bit more targeted. So the zip code group or the Nixle Wire is going to be, if you want to blast the whole community, if you want everyone in the community who's ever signed up for Nixle to be messaged, you'll hit the Nixle Wire. If you want more targeted groups, so say you have visitors, you guys have a lot of tourism, people are coming in for just the weekend, you can create another public group with a keyword, which I'll go through how to do that in a minute here, unique to you, so that folks can just opt in when they're there for the weekend and simply opt out, or you can delete the keyword, kill the keyword, and that spot will free up for another keyword. So we'll run through an example on how to do that. But kind of two things to understand here. The Nixle Wire is going to be your zip code opt-in. So they pull out their phone, they text their Ferrisburgh zip code to 888-777. The other public groups are going to be more targeted. You could have a group about COVID-19 related information. So Ferrisburgh COVID-19 or Ferrisburgh DPW, where people can opt into just receiving information about that type of information. So let's go ahead and create a group, and let's do a simple one. Let's do Ferrisburgh, sorry. And then you can assign it to a parent group if you want, or you can just leave that blank. You don't have to put a description. I am going to do a keyword here so that folks can opt in. Ferrisburgh, let's make sure this is available. Cut this. So 12 characters max is the keyword has to be 12 characters or under. You guys can, get as creative as you want here. You will now receive targeted alerts from Ferrisburgh DPW. And you can also ask them to enter their zip code as well. when they opt into a keyword group, they can enter their zip code as well, and they'll be opted into the general public safety. So I'm going to go ahead and create this. If you guys want, you don't have to, but if you want to play along, you can opt in. Just give me 1 second to create it. You can also just do Ferrisburgh as a keyword. You don't have to make it specific. You can, if you don't want to mess around with the zip code opt-ins, you can just advertise or market Ferrisburgh as the keyword. So here we are.
Lauren, would that be a better option for us since Ferrisburgh is a 49456 zip code, which includes Spring Lake Village, Spring Lake Township?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah. The only real benefit to doing the zip code instead, to using the Nixle wire instead of a keyword, is if you have multiple zip codes and you want to be able to choose from those zip codes. I only want to hit the folks that have signed up for this zip code. So
Okay.
that benefit. And then also another benefit to the zip code would be if you have multiple agencies, say the county, if the county has Nixle as well, and you want people to be able to opt in to both Ferrisburgh and the county system, then when they text their zip code to opt in, they would automatically be opted into receiving alerts from any agency that has jurisdiction over that zip code, be it the sheriff's office, the EMA, the city. So some people like that. Others actually don't like that because they don't want their residents bombarded with too many alerts. I'll show you guys on the resident side how on my, like me as a resident, how I can go in and pick and choose what I'm in San Francisco, what San Francisco agencies I'm being alerted from. And you can actually go and pick and choose as a resident how to kind of uncheck some of those boxes if you don't want to hear from specific agencies. Long answer for a rather simple question. You should probably use the keyword. That's what I would recommend doing.
Okay.
Yeah, the Ferrisburgh, maybe Ferrisburgh MI, or if that fits. Yeah, I think that would fit because the W didn't fit. So Ferrisburgh MI, if you want to do that, or just Ferrisburgh will be an option. Yeah. So if anyone opted in, all you had to do is pull out your phone and text Ferries DPW, all one word, all caps, to 888-777, and then you should have received an auto response. So let's see if we got anyone. You'll always be able to see how many contacts you have in each group. Oh, no one, I didn't either because I was talking. So let me just do that really quick. And then I'll show you how sending out a message looks. Okay. So you'll see me in there. And folks can add their emails as well if they want to go in, and I'll show you how that works on the resident portal. After they text to opt in, they can add their emails as well. So I'm in here now. I'm going to go ahead and send a message. If you guys don't want to or don't want to receive the message, that's totally fine as well. You'll see what it looks like on an iPhone here in a second. So let's go ahead and do an advisory. These are 3 types of alerts you can choose from as the sender, as the message sender. So you can send out emergency alerts. So these are going to be your missing persons, severe weather, evacuation, dangerous situation, police activity, health alert. Advisories are going to be probably what you're going to use more often. So water main break, road closure, traffic congestion, any kind of closure, health advisory. So let's do that. And I'm going to say test. Not that this is really going to anyone except for me, but I always like to make sure to be thorough with that. For Ferrisburgh, due to don't worry, this isn't going anywhere. And then I typically just copy and paste it into the email, or excuse me, into the body of the email. So this is the email. This is also what's going to be on your web message, and you'll find out what the web message looks like in a minute. You can translate it to Spanish. So Spanish is the only language that we have at this time. If you have other languages that you want the system to translate to, our parent company, Everbridge, has like 30 languages. So if that's a big concern, we can discuss that. So once you translate it to Spanish, a little tab will pop up here. So you'll see the message in Spanish and you'll see the message in English. In the resident portal, people can say self-designate, I'm a Spanish speaker or I'm not. So they won't receive the messages twice. They'll receive them in the language that they've set in their preferences. You can attach images. So let's do a sunset just to keep it light. And then you can include an incident location if you want. You don't have to. You can include a contact. So someone that you want your residents to contact if they have questions. Or you can leave that blank if you want. You don't have to do that. And then I am going to do the same thing here for the text. So there's no character limit when it comes to the email. You can say as much as you want in the email. You can attach as many images as you want, PDFs, press release, images, whatever you want, links. In the text, it is limited. So it's 138 characters. We want this limited because we want it to be short and sweet. We don't want people receiving 8 text messages on their phone. So we keep it short and sweet. Also, this is the SMS text is what's replicated on Twitter. So if you guys want to use this for social media, the email, Facebook grabs from the email and web message with the pictures and PDFs or attachments. And then Twitter grabs from the SMS text. I don't believe, Craig, we're going to go through voice today, but it's pretty simple. If you guys want to purchase the platform that has voice, you would be able to record your own voice, use text to speech, or upload a pre-recorded file, and you'd be able to use a Ferrisburgh caller ID so that folks are more likely to pick up the phone and require voice confirmation. I typically recommend voice if you have a large percentage of Ferrisburgh that's older and they don't have cell phones. If you've got a large percentage of the population that doesn't have cell phones, that still has landlines, that's when I recommend voice. If you don't, then I don't see there's a huge value add to doing the voice. And it's like it's $1,000 or a couple $1,000 more.
You have a large population of older residents here.
Okay. So also a benefit to doing that, you can draw a shape on the map and target specific addresses and landlines and send the alert to or send the phone call to those specific addresses. Okay. So that's a benefit as well. Whereas with the cell phones, you never know unless people go in and add their cell phone. This is my resident account. Unless people go in and add their cell phone here. So this is me as a resident. So I went in and I added my email address and my language preference. And I said, I don't want voice messages. So people that opt in with their cell phone can go in and say, yes, I do want voice messages on my cell phone, or I do want them on my home phone only. Or they can just leave that blank. It defaults to no voice. But with landline data, we import that data for you guys. So that's just baked into it. It's baked into the cost. It's baked into the system. We import the landline data. You've got that Excel spreadsheet in there, and you've got everyone's first name, last name, and physical address. Whereas with this, you're relying on people to kind of go in and add more information about themselves. So you want to make sure it's going to the right group. So you'll always be able to see this you can have 10 groups in here that it goes to. We're just sending it to one for now, but you can send it to as many groups as you want, or as few as you want. And then you can send the message now, or you can schedule it for a future delivery. We're going to go ahead and send this now, and you can set a message expiration. So this is kind of handy when you have a road closure and the road's going to be closed for 3 hours. And you can say, okay, we're going to set this for 3 hours from now. The message is going to expire. It's no longer going to be, it'll say, message has expired. It's no longer going to be on the web, and people will get that expiration date in the text message. So I'm not going to do one for now. I don't have Twitter and Facebook hooked up, but you guys will if you want to, and that message will be replicated on your Twitter feed and on your Facebook page. Oh, we want to do a tip. That's right, because Craig had mentioned that you guys were interested in tipping. So let's do a tip. So the tips give residents the ability to respond. If you don't want residents to respond, you just wouldn't check that box. But if you want to solicit feedback and responses from your residents, you would hit this and they would have the ability to text you back. So I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. You'll always be able to preview the message. So as you saw, it's just one message board and a preview page. So only 2 steps. You'll see what type of message is it? Is it an alert, advisory, or community? The community ones are just, events, coffee with a cop, all the different kind of town hall meeting, things like that. So this is a health advisory. So it's going to be an advisory type message. And then you'll always be able to see when was it entered and who entered it. So you'll always have documentation reporting on who is sending out the message and when did they send out the message. You'll be able to see the SMS text, the email, the photo that you added, and what it looks like on a mobile device. So I don't think anyone opted in, but if you had opted in, when you receive the message, you would see this text message. It would look like this. It would say Ferrisburgh instead of El Hoover demo. It would say Ferrisburgh. The content, and then it would be a link. It would provide a link that you guys can click on that would take you to a web page with the photo, with the PDF, with the additional information that you added. Because remember, the text message is kind of short and sweet. So that link is embedded there to provide more information. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and send this. Ferrisburgh DPW. Okay, so I'm going to get the alert and then I'm going to reply back so you can see what it looks like for a tip to come through. So I'm a resident right now. I just got it. I just got the alert. You can see that. And then reply with tip. So I'm going to say, I see suspicious behavior. And then it's going to ask me, are you sure you want to send this tip? So it'll ask you to, because a lot of people will type in things by mistake. They won't mean to do it. So it'll say, text yes to confirm you want to send this. So then I'm going to text yes, and you should see this tip come through. So I'm going to go back to the overview here. Also, while we're waiting for the tip to come through, you can always go into your sent messages and see all the messages that you've sent in the past. And you can actually go in and you can use the message as a template for another message. So if you want to send it like a similar message, you can click use message as a template and then just change a lot of the information. You can delete the photo, you can add photos, you can add additional groups. So remember, I only sent it to Ferrisburgh DPW. All these other groups are here now. So I can edit the message and I can send it to additional groups if I want. And then the private groups are just going to be your internal contacts, your city administration. So this tip should have come through. Here it is. Okay. So I don't have my email on because I didn't want it bothering me throughout this, but you'll receive an email, you'll receive a text. However you want to receive the tips, you can receive the tips. They'll also come in through the browser. So I'll go ahead and click on the tip and I can respond. So I can say, please identify yourself if you want people to say who they are, because this is going to be anonymous on the surface. It was built for law enforcement as an anonymous tipping tool. You don't have to use it that way. You can use it however you want, but the messages will be anonymous on the surface. So I can either send a reply or I can go down here and I can assign the tip to a different person, a specific officer if I want. So you guys can have a full list of people that you want to handle tips specifically, or you can handle it yourself. So I'll get this message, show you how quickly it comes through. Thank you. Please identify yourself. So I just got that text. It's pretty quick. It's pretty useful, especially you're such a small community. I think it's 3,000 residents. It's not like you're going to be bombarded with, hundreds of replies. Presumably people aren't going to reply that often. And hopefully if they do, it'll be something that, that's helpful or relevant. For private groups, just import Excel spreadsheets. That's what I usually recommend. I mean, you can enter the first names and last names manually, but if you want to edit the group or import contacts to the group, you just click this icon here, upload a file. It'll say, hey, make sure your employees know, or make sure the people that you're uploading know that you're uploading them, just kind of like a privacy thing. Yes, I agree with the terms. And then you can go in and choose an Excel spreadsheet, first name, last name, phone number, physical address, all that good stuff. In terms of the app, so you can do everything from the app that you can do from the browser. So this is what the app looks like. Each of you will download it once you're made an administrator, which is super easy to do. You just invite people through the browser. You'll enter your username and password. I believe you can assign your fingerprint to the app so that it's quick if you need to send out an emergency alert. But there's two types of messages. There's advanced and there's quick. A quick is just going to be a simple text. You'll send it to whatever group you want, be it the Nixle Wire or a keyword group. You'll send it via SMS, email, and the advanced one will go through SMS, email, Facebook, Twitter. And then this is the voice portion. So if you guys did want to purchase the Nixle 360 platform, it'll allow you to record your own voice through the phone and then use your finger to drag and drop a shape, a polygon shape on the map here as to the area in Ferrysburgh that you're targeting. And this will be predominantly landlines that you're targeting. Landlines that that correspond with physical addresses. If residents go in to their member portal and add their address like I did, I added my address. So San Francisco Police Department knows my address, so they can technically target me in the Nixle 360 platform with that shape. But not all of your residents are going to add that. So that's something to kind of just think about with cell phones. With landlines, they're in there. We've got them. We know exactly who they are. So that's typically kind of a more precise geo-targeting capability that we have with the 360 platform. And then, there is reporting. So you can always see with the voice calls, did someone pick up the phone? Did someone kind of ignore it? Did it go to voicemail? Was it a busy line? Did they unplug their landline? They don't have a landline. That's where you would see the no service or the red there in the pie chart. So there is some reporting with Nixle 360, whereas with Engage, really you only can see how many contacts you have in the group. You know the messages are going out, but they can't really confirm. They can't press 1 to confirm receipt of the text unless they reply back with the tip. So there's a little bit more reporting with the voice capability and Nixle 360. We do have National Weather Service automation. So NWS is going to be hooked up during implementations. We're going to identify what severe weather events are relevant to Ferrisburgh. So we got all that you can possibly think of. Snow, ice, I'm just thinking cold, Michigan. But whatever you guys want to check, you can check. And then you can decide if you want warnings, advisories, or watches to go out and when. So this will be automated. You won't have to do this yourself. If NWS issues a hard freeze warning and you want it to go out to all of your Nixle subscribers via SMS, email, voice, Facebook, Twitter, you'll check these boxes and then the groups that you want them to go out to. So the Nixle Wire, you'd probably choose that and any of the other, or Ferrisburgh keyword, any of the other groups that you want. And you can set sleep hours. So if you don't want to bother people from 1 a.m. to 6 or 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., you can do that. And maybe for the warnings, you wouldn't set that, but for the watches that are a little bit less severe, maybe you would set that sleep hours here. I can also set sleep hours as a resident. So I can go in to my settings. So here's what I wanted to show you as well. These are my San Francisco agencies that I hear from. I can say, I don't want to hear from these guys anymore if I don't want to. So I can just log in, uncheck the box. If I want to, it'll be all of the agencies that have jurisdiction over that zip code if they're Nixle users. And then for my sleep hours, I can turn off notifications if I want from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., for example. And this is my Nixle Wire as a resident. So these are all the agencies that I subscribe to just kind of for fun. I just subscribe to a lot of them. And I'll always be able to opt out. I can always opt out. I can always text stop, or I can go into my settings and I can say, I don't want to hear from XYZ agencies anymore. And I can say, I only want to hear alerts, or I want to hear about alerts and advisories, or I want to hear about all three: alerts, advisories, and community. So there is a lot of customization that the residents can do as well. Any questions? I just kind of threw a lot of information out there that I hope was digestible.
It was very good. Thank you. I think this is what we were looking for, is something that we could have a two-way conversation if need be with residents. I like it that we could, if council decided to do with landlines, because last year I was doing well checks on residents, making hundreds of phone calls, and it was really difficult to get landlines. So, but this would work. Other feedback from council, or I know that you've been working with Craig, Mr. Bessinger, in regards to this. Mr. Bessinger, do you see benefits from this? Do you see challenges from the office standpoint?
So can a resident initiate contact?
Yes, so yes, thank you. I meant to go through that. So if you want an unsolicited response or a resident to just simply text in without being prompted, you can create a keyword specifically for that. So it can be a tip, it's called a tip keyword. So it can be Ferrisburgh tips or whatever you want to call it. It'll be one of your keywords that they can text in, and that'll just be basically your database of tips that come through unsolicited or unprompted. So you wouldn't have to send out a message. You wouldn't have to hit request reply or request tips. Those messages would simply come into that specific group, and you would always know that group, that group would be identified as the tip group. Yes.
Your
Other
Honor.
council member Sias, yes.
Yes. Would the police have their own platform, or would they work off of our platform to send out messages? Say like the sheriff department, if they want to send out a message to citizens, would they have to contact City Hall to do that, or could they be administrators as well?
They could be administrators as well. So the cool thing about this is the price is not impacted based on the number of administrators, or the number of departments. So if you want DPW to have access, police, fire, the price is not impacted. The only thing that would impact the price is if you have so many departments using it that you're sending out so many messages, and that's where the message credits would kick in. So if you go over your message credit allotment, then that would be of concern, right? But if you kind of have it under control as to if you guys kind of know how many messages each of you are going to be sending per week, per month, for example, the price will totally remain the same, and you can give whoever access you want.
I see a lot of value with this. Other council members, comments, questions, feedback? Councilmember Carlson?
Yes, is there anything for pothole reporting and with GPS out of your cell phone?
I missed that one word. Is there anything for what reporting?
Pothole reporting using
Oh.
the GPS cell phones.
So there's a way. Our parent company has an app that can allow residents to be identified, their location to be identified. And they would always have to say, yes, I consent to giving my location. That's never something that the app would do automatically. In terms of dropping like a pin on the map and giving a physical location that a resident is at because of a pothole, for example, they would just have to text in the cross street themselves. There's nothing that Nixle can do to kind of identify to pinpoint where that resident is. They would just have to volunteer that information themselves. If you wanted something that robust, that would be the Everbridge platform, which is quite a bit more of an investment price wise, but that is something that we could discuss if that's of interest.
Councilmember Bleach, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. Looks like there's a lot of functionality with this Nixle platform, and I think it's a really good idea to at least pursue looking at it. I think, we could send out all different types of messages, and looks pretty user friendly. So that's what I wanted to say.
Super easy to use. I don't know if you guys have looked at any other vendors, but this is sort of, when it comes to simple, easy, anyone can figure it out within a few minutes. This is where we shine for sure. So yeah, I appreciate that feedback. Thanks, Scott.
Looks user friendly on both ends, both from staff end, but also from the residents. to respond back. And then I like the idea, especially of the collecting the data. That's going to be important moving forward too. So,
I see this is pretty much has everything that we've been looking for, combines all the other services that we were interested in. So I like this program.
Councilmember Montgomery, you work with this on a daily basis through your employer, do you?
Yeah, we use Everbridge. I don't use it on a daily basis, but we have used it for major incidents in the past.
Okay.
It looks a little different than this. We don't use Nixle. I'm not sure what all the differences are.
Everbridge is Nixle on steroids. Everbridge can do a lot when it comes to crisis management on the internal side. So if you guys are a large county, well, a lot of large counties use Everbridge because they have so many cities that they're managing, and they want to give different cities access, or they want to use it for dispatch, like dispatch centers will use it, integrate with CAD, things like that. That's kind of where Everbridge comes in.
That's Nixle's parent company, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Any other comments or questions at this time?
So,
Yes.
Your Honor.
Yes, Councilmember Montgomery.
So the only way our residents will get this is if they opt in with the keyword, essentially.
Except the landline data. The landline data we will procure for you. That's baked in. The landline data will be there. The cells, they'll have to opt in.
Okay.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Refresh my memory. What kind of money are we looking at here?
Sure. So the Engage platform is $2,600 annually. Pretty competitive with most of our competitors are more. Everbridge is quite a bit more. The 360 platform, which includes the voice, is going to be $3,700 annually. And there are setup fees. I believe I sent this to Craig email, but there are setup fees along with it. So I think it's around $300 for the setup.
Right. That was, staff did provide that to us. So we had that information.
Awesome.
Any other comments or questions at this time? Guess at this point, we invited you to present to us, to give us another layer of information that we could discuss and move forward with possibly in the future. And I know that Mr. Bessinger has been working with you also, trying to fine line all of this information. So, Mr. Bessinger, do you have any questions for Lauren at this time?
Yeah, at this time, if the city council wishes, we can put this on the next agenda for discussion.
Is that something that council wishes to do?
Yeah.
Shake your
Yes.
head. Okay. So I see
Yep,
the
I'd say
majority.
yes.
Okay. So if staff can have this on our next meeting agenda for further discussion.
Yes.
Would there be anything of benefit, Ms. Hoover, to provide us with in consideration instead of just your oral report today? Would there be any additional information you could provide Mr. Bessinger with that we could review?
Yes. I will go back and see what I sent him previously, and I'll kind of I'll put a bow on it and get it in one email to him so that you guys can have that. Yeah.
Perfect. Streamlined. So it's easier to digest. So.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you very much for your information tonight. Really appreciate you spending time with us and answering questions.
It was a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you everyone. And thank you, Craig, for coordinating this.
Thank you.
Have a great night or afternoon, because you're a little bit behind us in time. So.
Not quite dinner time.
Not quite. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
So with that being said, now we'll move down to under new business 7B, discussion, take action if appropriate to move from the table and approve establishing a task force, hire professional firm, etc., to develop a visionary development of the downtown area underutilized properties. So we need a motion support to take this off the table.
I'll make a motion to take it off the table.
Support.
Motion and support. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Carlson,
Aye.
Councilmember Blease,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias,
No.
Councilmember Mayor Hop,
Yes.
motion passed.
Okay, moving down to item 7C. Discussion, take action if appropriate to approve establishing a task force, hire a professional firm, et cetera, to develop a visionary development of the downtown area and underutilized properties. And we have Ms. Butler with us so we have a motion and we need roll call, please.
For
what?
what? We
I
just took it
apologize.
off the table. You want to discuss it? Okay,
Jumping ahead, yes. So Ms. Butler, go ahead. I'll let you introduce yourself and what your role is that you have.
Thank you for having me. So Elizabeth Butler, and I am your economic developer with the chamber. And my title is pretty long, Director of Economic Development Strategic Directions. I'm here to work for you guys, and I do have a strong background in strategic planning as well. So I'd be more than happy and would love to work with you guys on this.
Okay, thank you. This was discussed in the past in a work session and then brought forward for discussion tonight. So are there questions, comments, Councilmember DeWitt?
Yeah, we're looking at spending money here to hire a firm. We have the Chamber of Commerce, we're already paying dues for
Mhm.
to guide us in this vision. I'm all for having, maybe council members, citizens, whatever, on this board or task force, whatever you want to call it. But I don't think we need to hire a professional firm when we have a professional trained person available to us that is already basically on our payroll. We're a member of the chamber, and that's her job to help us do this. So as far as hiring a professional firm, I think we have the assets available without going and soliciting bids for a professional development firm when we have that on staff.
Correct. Craig, back in 2005 or 2004, when it was first discussed and then the council established a task force, were we involved with the chamber like we are today, currently involved?
That's correct. So the reason the professional firm was included in the minute or the agenda was in case the task force had to come up with looking for maybe like a traffic count or something like that, we could already go ahead and move forward with that without having coming back to city council.
Okay.
It wouldn't be hiring a consultant firm to do the work for us. We'd be utilizing the chamber and a committee of citizens to put together the plan.
Okay. So does that clarify you, Councilmember DeWitt?
Yes and no. I mean, I think we should develop a vision and then do traffic count and that kind of thing. Because basically we have 3 or 4 properties. Come to mind is the Pizza Hut, that's defunct, I guess. I don't know what's going on with that. We have those 2 lots there on the corner next to the Pizza Hut. I don't know if there's any other properties in that core business district that are available or could be developed that aren't.
Okay, let's backtrack, because in regards, Mr. Bessinger just explained that with this agreement, if we establish it, it would be to establish the task force, and then that group, if they needed it, then they would be able to hire in a firm for like a traffic study or so, without coming back to council.
It wouldn't, excuse me, Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be a traffic study because you're talking some dollars to do that. This would be just for some minor assistance with, if the task force needs some information. I would expect little or no funds to be used on this.
Because
Well,
that information would be readily available probably through the chamber or in their resources.
Or
I mean,
other-
whatever the task force is looking for to move forward. So, okay, Councilmember DeWitt, before I head back, other council members have questions that Ms. Butler would be able to expand on with this? Councilmember O'Donnell.
Yes, thank you. Aaron. What kind of, Elizabeth, what kind of information do you have available for us? Do you have traffic counts, any companies that have expressed interest in doing business in this area that you see that we might be able to attract, groups or organizations, that sort of thing?
Well, no, I don't have traffic counts or anything like that. I do have access to tools, through the US Census that tells us, so many people come from Muskegon and they drive to Holland, so we do have that kind of information available to us. As far as, attractions, it really, becomes you need to identify what your long-term goal is. And then you can say, okay, once you know what that goal is, what the vision is, then you can start to identify what type of businesses you want to start attracting. I do have, I work with the MEDC, and they have, they do site searches, quite often for businesses who are looking to go somewhere in the state of Michigan. But really, the beginning of this really needs to start with what is the vision, what is that long-term goal of the community. And I have led other, I led Green Carter Township, their fire and rescue department, in a similar thing.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Bessinger, do you know the history on why this task force was dissolved? Council worked to create it, and it looks like they didn't move forward with it.
We put together the visionary plan, and it was just something that to guide some of the decisions that made by the planning commission, city council. And it took a number of years to do those. And we just never got back together to update the plan and keep it moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Additional questions or comments regarding this? Yes, Councilmember Sias.
Yes, Your Honor. This question is for Ms. Butler. What can Ferrisburgh do to attract more small businesses? Does the chamber help us in guidance with this? Do they help us reach out to businesses, or do businesses reach out to the chamber and then you recommend a good fit for them? Or
certainly,
how does that work?
Certainly, we do have connections, and people come to us, and businesses do come to us, and so we help make those connections for you guys. Can you repeat my brain was starting to think ahead. Can you repeat your question one more time?
What can Ferrisburgh do to attract more small
Okay.
businesses? And it seems like, we have a hard time getting some smaller businesses in and sticking here. It would be good to have some more long-term, more base businesses, that would attract more business, and bring in more business and help us grow in that way. I know we're limited on space, but, yeah.
Well, there's a whole range of things that Ferrisburgh can do to attract different businesses. If you're thinking about creating a certain downtown district, for example, creating, having some sort of, events in your community to start drawing the people, and then when they're there, they can, go visit the shops. Making lots of family friendly spots, right? So families want to go there and to use the playground, and visit the businesses. So there's many. it's not just a one simple answer. It's a very broad approach. And something like this task force could really, you know, as you have the meetings, you can really get into the weeds on some of these things and start making some decisions, and then you start to narrow your path and identify who you want to have, what type of, do you want flower shops, or do you want another marina, those type of things.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
so I think, yes, Councilmember, please.
This is what I get out of this is the task force. They're the ones that would research this information and bring it back to the council. So if this discussion is on if we want to do a task force.
Yes.
So don't look into this too far. The task force would be comprised of, it sounds like, possibly council members, planning committee members, and residents. So this is what we're talking about. Let's decide if we want to have a task force. And then the task force discusses all this information about, you know, how to bring in new business to the city, downtown development, blah, 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 all that. So I think that's kind of what we're trying to get focused on here. Am I
Yes.
reading this correctly?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And so Ms. Butler is here to provide some background and some assistance on what the chamber offers for the city, and her role that she could assist this task force with as we move forward, if council decides to move forward with this. So I guess at this point, does council want to entertain a motion to create a task force again? And if so, whom will be on it? What do we want the makeup to look like?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we establish an economic development task force consisting of a couple council members, perhaps the mayor,
Mhm.
and one or two other. We can't go forward because that'd be a quorum.
Right.
So the also the, of course, the chamber, and any citizens or business owners that would be interested in participating in it. I would probably at this time limit it to about probably no more than 6-7 people for the task force.
Would you entertain having members of the planning commission
Yes,
participate with us?
yes. I'm sorry, that was the other one. I knew there was another. Definitely have the planning, someone from the planning commission, perhaps the chairman.
It would be set similar to what the prior task force was set in 2004.
Yes.
It looks like, Mr. Bessinger, we have a motion that you're talking through. So can you repeat it before we go back to Mr. Bessinger? Or Mr. Bessinger, do you need to entertain to add something now?
Well, we want the city council members and planning commission and citizens and stuff like that. How do those people get chosen? Are we gonna have people fill out an application and bring that to city council?
I would suggest say yes on that.
Thank you.
Okay.
The initial task force would be made up of council and planning commission, and then the citizens would be applied, and I would have that council or initial task force approve that additional personnel.
How many residents at large?
I would say 3.
So there'd be 9 on the task force.
Correct.
Okay. So Councilmember DeWitt will get back, but we have a motion on the table at this point. So we need a
Support.
motion.
I'll support her.
Okay, so there's a motion and support. Further discussion. Councilmember DeWitt?
Yeah, I think we're getting this thing too burdensome. I think one council member, planning commission, maybe 3 or 4 citizens. When you start getting 8, 9, 10 people involved, it seems like less gets done. So my suggestion would be either the mayor or a city council person, the planning commission chairman or designate, and 3 or 4 citizens. Keep it small. Try to get some work done instead of, the bigger the group you have, the less it happens.
Okay,
That would be my suggestion if Tim's agreeable to amend his motion.
okay, just a minute. Let's go on and do Councilmember Montgomery.
Yeah, I agree with what Councilman DeWitt said. I guess my only amendment will be maybe two council members or the mayor.
I would be agreeable to that. 2 council members, 2 planning commission, chamber, and a couple residents or business owners.
So we'd be looking at a task force total of 6.
Or
At this
7.
point.
7.
7 with the chamber being involved.
Right.
Yes. But I'm thinking of applications or people being appointed. It would be.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Yep.
who would appoint the council members? Would the mayor do that? Council
Well,
members, sir?
for simplicity's sakes, just do it the way the normal we do
Committees are.
That
committee.
they're appointed.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So it'd be the mayor and or a designee like a mayor pro tem and then another individual from council.
To appoint
So-
the
So you would always have 2 representatives at that task force meeting,
right.
correct? Okay. Would you like to amend your
Yes,
motion at this time?
I will amend that motion.
I'll
Okay.
support.
So what are we at now?
2 council, 2 planning, 2 members at large, and the chamber.
Okay. Councilmember Montgomery, before we go back to your question, we have a motion we need to support before further discussion, okay? So is there a support?
I'll support it if we get more discussion.
And now further discussion, Councilmember Montgomery.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if the chamber representative would be a voting member of the task force as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
Council want that? Okay,
I think it makes sense having 7.
okay. So we have a motion and support. Any further discussion regarding establishing a task force for the city of Ferrisburgh? Seeing no hands raised or hearing voices. Yes, Councilmember Montgomery.
Your Honor, do we need to establish how often they'll meet or anything like that?
I would, Mr. Bussinger, that would be up to the task force, correct? Once they meet and how they want to establish
Correct.
the meeting times and how often, frequencies of the meetings?
Correct.
Okay. Because this is more of an ad hoc. This isn't through our charter. So there's a motion and support. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Blaze,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes,
Councilmember Sias,
Yes,
Councilmember Carlson,
Yes,
Mayor Hop,
Yes,
motion passed.
thank you. Elizabeth, thank you very much for attending tonight. Look forward to working with you in the future.
All right, thank you very much. I look forward to it as well.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
thanks.
Okay. With that being done, we'll move down to item 7D. Discussion, take action if appropriate to approve a quote from Asphalt Paving Incorporated for $264,430 to repave Carmen Drive, patchwork on Cherokee Drive and Cove Avenue, repair asphalt pad in front of the DPW salt barn, and pave a parking lot area at Sunnyside Park.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Support.
Okay, motion support. Before we get into a discussion with this, I want to bring your attention to the cover letter that Mr. Bessinger provided to us, that the April MPO meeting, that there was for 2021, the HIP COVID funding was discussed with just slightly over $1 million to be allocated to the Muskegon MPO. And at the April meeting, the majority of those that were present were in favor of all members receiving equal sums. Range was basically between $70,000 to $80,000. This is a perfect example why it is important and so critical that council members attend subcommittees that they've been appointed to. Because I'm going to go down a segue. Here's facts. 2015, Regina Schoberg was appointed to the MPO to serve and represent Ferrisburgh, and she failed to appear. So with Ferrisburgh having a seat at the table, I believe that this is going to benefit us at this point. I know that Mr. Bessinger attends the technical board on a very faithful basis, and he has for many, many years, but it's a policy committee that Ferrisburgh has been lacking since prior to my leadership in 2017. So I just want to put those facts out on the table right now. So we have any other, now we'll move into discussion for hiring the asphalt paving company. Yes, Councilmember DeWitt.
Craig, was this, we're obviously getting some money from the COVID thing, but was this budgeted in this year's budget to do this work?
No, it was not. This is a project that has been really on the table for a number of years. Carmen Drive has been, it's in terrible shape. We've been trying to work on some ways to get it fixed. It started out as we were going to do some patchwork on Carmen Drive. And we got some quotes of doing that. And once we got into it, we took some soil borings of Carmen Drive and trying to come up with the money to get that street repaired. And we're getting a number of complaints about the street. It's in bad shape. It's just getting worse. This was a street that was paid for by the property owners. It was special assessed. They paid for the first paving, and then it's up to the city to maintain it. And so going through and going back and forth with contractors and the engineer on what we can do for that street, we decided that, well, maybe we could repave it and put a new base on, and we would not get an engineer involved and save some money doing that. And so with the Carmen Drive, I think we can put together some money from the current budget to pay for that project. The Cherokee Drive and the Cove Avenue, we had some money budgeted for some work in the local street fund. That work never got done. Some of it was a carryover from the Piney Point project from last year. So the local street fund can handle the two patch repairs on Cherokee Drive and Cove Avenue. Regarding going back to Carmen Drive, it was at the MPO that the consensus of the group at that time was to split that $1 million equally among all agencies. So the MPO is leaning that way, but it's not official yet. And it will never not be official until the tech committee makes a recommendation to the policy committee, and the policy committee okays that. Saying all that, we think it's going to happen, but it's not a for sure item. And then for the Sunnyside Park, that's been in the budget carryover for a couple of years. Right now it's gravel. The stones get in the grass, and just hard to keep maintained. The DPW barn, it has an asphalt pad in front of it. We're not sure why we put an asphalt pad there. It was only probably 1.5 inches or 2 inches at the most. And over the years with the heavy salt trucks, it just got broken up. And we've had some money in the budget to do that. We got the price in there to put 3 inches down, and it's about $14,000.
So
Craig, we were talking about doing Carmen Drive, doing a grind and a repave. Now, do we have an engineer involved in this?
No, we do not. We've done some soil samples. We've talked to the engineer about what we're thinking about doing, and they have no concerns.
Okay, so the other projects, that would be just patchwork and such what? We don't need an engineer involved in this stuff?
No, we do not.
Okay. So would it be advantageous to us to table this until we find out what's going on with the MPO money? Or can the budget handle it without it?
With the $140,000 that we're not going to spend on North Shore Drive, we think we can handle it. The unknown is, we're not sure that we're going to get the money from the MPO. And the other unknown is that we don't have a cost estimate for Dogwood Drive for next year. So we're anticipating a $900,000 project. We're hoping we're on the high side, but the engineer hasn't given us his estimate yet, cost estimate for that project.
So if that project comes in higher bid than we anticipate, is that good? That's gonna crimp our budget big time, correct?
Well, probably starts, if it comes in higher than what we think it's gonna cost, instead of being a spring project, it will be a fall project. And that will have the collections from the 2022 summer taxes to help us out.
So what you're telling me is the budget can handle this and Dogwood Drive. It may have to put it off from spring to fall.
That's correct.
Okay, so as long as we're fiscally responsible here, I'm good with it.
Okay. The only other item, the salt pad or salt barn pad at $14,000. We put a 3-inch asphalt in there. I'm not sure how long that's going to last with those heavy salt trucks. If city council wishes, we could come back to that another day and save $14,000 off this cost here.
Would it behoove us to put like cement in there? We put asphalt, it's gonna break up again. It may be years, but it will break up. If we put like 6 inches of concrete in there, would that be better use of our money?
I would think so. We would need to put a 6-inch concrete with rebar in there to hold that weight of those trucks.
Would that be something you'd be willing to look at and perhaps get advice from Matt, what he would prefer? Asphalt, it's gonna bust up again, no matter how thick you make it. Or cement, it may break up. If it's rebar, it's a crack, but it'll be there forever.
It would be my recommendation to remove the salt barn from this project, from this agenda item.
And then bring it back to us as a cement pad, perhaps? The cost
At
estimate.
a
both
future
ways?
date, yep.
Okay, yeah, I would prefer that myself.
Mr. Bessinger, do you have an approximate date when the policy committee would be reviewing these options, or is it contingent upon receiving the funds?
The the tech committee is going to meet this Thursday. And I'm not sure if we're going to have all the information from all the units on projects that they want to submit. So, it could be June or July. I don't think anything's going to happen in May for sure.
Would staff feel best if this was tabled and come back, or to move forward with it? Because I guess things have kind of changed, and generally there's a staff review that gets submitted in with our information to review prior to making decisions.
My concern of postponing this any longer is that the price of the project is going to go up. The contract is not going to hold its price.
Correct. Okay. So at this point, we would need to make an amendment to that motion to remove, if council wishes, to remove the salt barn project off this.
Your Honor, I would
Yeah.
make a motion to approve the quote from Asphalt Paving with the removal of the salt barn project, and Craig can come back to us with a price on that for concrete if that is agreeable. I would make that motion.
Okay. So
Support.
motion and support. Further discussion regarding this motion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Munn,
Yes.
Sorry, I just had a quick question about, we're going with asphalt paving.
Correct.
Okay.
Minus
That
the
was,
salt.
that was on the recommendation
Minus
from
the salt.
staff.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Oh, roll call, please.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes,
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Councilmember Carlson,
Yes,
Councilmember Blease,
Yes.
Mayor Hop,
Yes,
motion passed.
thank you. Moving down to item 7E. Discussion, take action if appropriate to approve a recommendation from the Recreation Commission to approve the proposal from PM Blau Incorporated not to exceed $2,400 to assist in the grant application for Fire Barn Park.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll
Support.
second.
Motion and support. Further discussion regarding this? Yes, Councilmember DeWitt.
I'm assuming, Craig, if you'll come in on this, I'm assuming that any grants that we apply for, that Ms. Blau is cognizant of the fact that the money, the matching money has to be within our budget.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and you have that number available to her?
Yes, I do. And for city council.
Okay,
So
thank you.
in the proposed budget, we're putting a place tag, a holder of $125,000. And, we're not going to spend that in the next fiscal year. We just want to put in there in the plug. Actually, it's in the capital improvement plan.
So we do have money.
Fiscal year.
Okay, so we do have money available to do a matching grant that's been budgeted.
Correct. We're budget saving some money for that project.
Okay,
It's
thank
going
you.
to be
Jerry.
dependent on the cost estimate though, and the match, what city council wants to match, what percentage.
And
But
this
she
grant
knows-
application, the grant application is not due until April of 2022. So there is a timeline that's still workable. So it's not before the end of this fiscal year by July or anything. So there is some time to work to
Well,
achieve this. So,
Well, my concern is she came back with what, 1.2 million? We can apply for that grant. If we get it, we're still looking at 600,000, $400,000 to $600,000, which the city can't afford. So I'm
correct, but
assuming,
there's three items that the Rec Commission is focused in on. And those would be the areas that she would really be looking for the Michigan DNR grants or the passport grants would be focused on just those three items.
okay,
So that would
thank you.
be, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Councilmember Montgomery, well under that $1 million tag that she had on it originally.
Yes, that's correct.
Would you like to add anything more from discussions with the Rec Commission?
Only that, we presented a few weeks ago, and there are some safety things that I understand, like Mayor Hop said, it's not due till next April, but we do want to start on it right away. Just so we can make sure everything, we have our ducks in a row for next year. And we will be discussing as a commission to do some fundraising and other activities to build up. So hopefully the community, we can have a bigger percentage match without asking council for more money.
It was successful with the playground.
Yep.
The community is very giving and businesses are also. So any further discussion around this? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes,
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Councilmember Carlson,
yes,
Councilmember Blease,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Mayor Hop,
Yes,
motion passed.
thank you. Moving down to our next agenda item, 7F, discussion, take action if appropriate to schedule a work session as a regular agenda item for May 17th. And currently in our notes, Mr. Buzzender said that he didn't have anything at this point for a work session.
That's correct.
Any council members have any thoughts, ideas, something to discuss at our next?
Were
We're
we gonna,
doing-
were we gonna discuss that Nixle thing?
That would, I believe that would come back as an agenda item for a discussion and take action when we receive that information.
Okay,
So hearing no comments, then I guess we will not have a work session on the May 17th. Unless something comes up between now and then staff would add that at that point. And so we're moving down to 8 public comments. There are no attendees at this time. So we'll move into reports. City manager.
No report.
Okay, and I'll go across the screen. Councilmember Bliss.
I attended the Arbor Day event last Friday with a couple other you, Mayor Hop and Councilman Montgomery were there also. So they planted a red maple tree. Had a few other people from the recreation committee there. Jean and Emily and
Jordan Weber.
Jordan, yeah. So, and a few kids. So that was kind of nice. Took a few pictures. So, and then I wanted to mention to who all that are listening, please vote tomorrow. Please vote. End of report.
Thank you. Councilmember DeWitt.
yeah, this, Craig, a citizen approached me today about, being on that, visionary task force, the, task force. Could you give him a call? I'll give you his name and number and, let him know what he has to do to, apply to that. It's Alec McGulloch. His phone number is 248-935-2134, and he was very interested in helping the city develop. So, and he was a developer, so he could give you some kind of insight that perhaps would be useful.
Will do.
End of report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Carlson.
No report.
Thank you. Councilmember Sias.
No report.
Thank you. Councilmember Montgomery.
Only that I was able to show up for the Arbor Day celebration with Councilman Blease and Mayor Hop. You guys knocked the tree out before I could get there. I was just a couple minutes late, but I appreciate you guys coming out to show your support. Thanks to all the rec commission that was able to show up too, and it was exciting and will be more exciting years to come as we continue to plant these trees. So if you guys, in the meantime, we got to figure out a place for next year. So if you have any ideas of where you want to see a tree and what kind you want to see, let us know.
Okay.
And end a report.
Thank you. So I guess with the tree board, who ordered the weather? It was beautiful weather that day. So, moving down to Mayor Pro Tem O'Donnell. I'll get it.
There you go. Thank you. Just a reminder again, with Councilmember Blease, vote tomorrow. Also, just a reminder, next week is Law Enforcement Appreciation Week. And they've taken a large hit lately, and I just want to make sure that they know I greatly appreciate them. We got to meet Sergeant Wendt today, and we got a great team here. End of report.
Okay. Councilmember Montgomery.
Hey, sorry, Your Honor. I was just curious. Are we still doing cones for cops this year, or was that canceled?
No, it has not been canceled. It's still in a discussion with the Sheriff Kemper. And so my hope is that we're going to be able to move forward with that. So Sergeant Wendt and I will be meeting again later this week, and that will probably be one of our discussions that we bring about, because we could still be physically distance, and then not having the children get in and out of their vehicles, but at least just have a presence there. So it's still on the calendar at this point.
Great. We could always push to the end of the summer too.
You know what, we can.
We
We're
need
very
to.
flexible with that,
Yep.
and Alamote has been really flexible too. So
Yeah.
okay.
Thanks.
Thanks for asking. And so with my report, I'm going to start out with something a little different this time, and I'm going to congratulate Debbie Wieringa. So Debbie Wieringa, I nominated her in January for Clerk of the Year for the state of Michigan, and she was in the top 8 and received honorary mention. So congratulations for that. Pretty excited out of the full state. Anyway, so I have
Sweet.
It is. So I have a resolution. I was hoping I could have made a surprise visit to your house, but I'll get it to you soon, okay? So the resolution reads, 2021 Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks, Clerk of the Year Honorary Mention. Whereas Debbie Wieringa, Clerk Treasurer for the City of Ferrisburgh, was awarded the 2021 Clerk of the Year Honorary Mention by the Michigan Municipal Clerk Association. And whereas Ms. Wieringa has served on the City of Ferrisburgh as City Clerk since 2003. And whereas Ms. Wieringa achieved her Certified Municipal Clerk certification in April of 2011 and achieved her Michigan Professional Municipal Clerk designation in February of 2014. And whereas Ms. Wieringa has served as Secretary, Vice President, and President of the Ottawa County Clerks Association, and whereas Ms. Wieringa has assisted with the Conference Committee with the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks, Michigan Municipal Treasurers Association, Michigan Government Finance Officers Association, and whereas Ms. Wieringa dedicates endless hours assisting in many activities within the city, such as the 4th of July Mayor Breakfast, 4th of July Parade, Christmas Carol Sing, Fire Department Open House, Coast Guard Picnic, and the Holiday Party for Board and Commission members. And whereas Ms. Wieringa's dedication and commitment to her profession is reflected by her willingness to serve the City of Ferrisburgh. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the City of Ferrisburgh City Council congratulates Debbie Wieringa, City of Ferrisburgh Clerk and Treasurer, on her recipient of the 2021 Michigan Clerk of the Year Honorary Mention and wishes her every success in her future endeavors. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
I'll get that to you. It'll be in a frame.
Okay.
So with that, I just want to reach out to each of you that I do continue with the community wealth discussions. And there's a nice article in the upcoming Michigan Municipal League magazine that's coming out. So just pay some attention and read that. It has some good information. And also I attended the city's Arbor Day celebration. And it was great to see the kids, the Sterling children helped add the dirt to the tree. And I guess now that they're calling it their tree. I was just speaking with Emily. So I think that's a great connection with kids in parks. And to reiterate what Mayor Pro Tem O'Donnell said, next week is National Police Week and followed by the National Public Works Week. So just keeping everybody in mind with those celebrations. And anyways, a little tidbit of information. I've reached out to John Nash, Supervisor of Spring Lake Township, but also is on the Spring Lake Lake Board, having challenges with boats and jet skiers not abiding by the no wake. We had a paddle boarder almost get run over last weekend by 3 jet skiers that were traveling at a very high rate of speed. And so anyways, he states that the buoys were supposed to be put in last week. They're working with a different contractor, and so he's hoping that they're going to get put in soon. So if asked by residents, it's in the works and they're working to get the buoys put in. So, and with that being said, that's in the report.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Have a great night.
Good night, everybody.